Hello people, my name is Mark, this is Why I Hate the World. How is everyone out there? So, I make a lot of videos about the alt-right and racist people and wacky conservatives on this channel. And I feel that, maybe I ought to pay some attention to the regressive left once in a while. Because, although I admire these people and their spirit, they really have a lot of wacky ideas as well. And one of them that I keep hearing is this idea about culture. Specifically, it goes like this: when they say white people don't have culture in America, right? And I've gotten this insult lobbed at me more than once because when you argue online with people, they don't know what you are or what you look like. And if you say anything, it seems like if you take any kind of stance that goes against the prevalent narrative in regressive left circles, if you object to anything they say, they instantly label you as some kind of like Trump supporting, MAGA hat wearing fucking alt-right shitlord, right? When in real life it's like I'm the fucking opposite of that. I just think some of the things they say are bullshit, and they just instantly will label you as like you're some kind of fucking Nazi and shit. It's like, dude, it's actually very similar to the video I made last week about the 56% face, the Amerimut, right? And it's kind of funny to see this same criticism coming from the alt-right people and also from the SJW crowd. And it goes something like this. White people in America have no cultural identity, and what cultural identity they do have is based off of corporations, right? And is highly commercialized, and because of that, but specifically to the SJW people, because of that, they steal culture from other peoples, right? The alt-right people don't include that part. The SJW people do. And you'll hear this a lot when it comes to things like around every Halloween, for example, when they'll have racially insensitive costumes and shit like that. SJWs always fucking complain on Halloween because they'll see a guy that's like, wearing a samurai outfit or something and then fucking think that's racist. Or they'll see a white girl wearing a geisha outfit or something, or whatever, and they gotta cry racism when it's like, dude, it's fucking Halloween. I mean, anyway, I already made a video about that shit. So it comes down to, what do you consider a culture? Okay, what exactly is a culture? Is it just shared norms and ideas? Is it, something like, is it tied to your race? Personally, I don't think so. A lot of people do. I don't think it has much to do with your race. I think really what a culture is, as far as I would say, it's traditions, right? That's pretty much what it is. It's traditions and history, and every culture has their own traditions. Every culture has their own version of history. It's kind of ridiculous to say that, we don't have a culture as Americans, right? And specifically white people don't have a culture, because that's the other thing I want to touch on in a minute. It's not tied to your race, right? But because that's the criticism, and it's like, white culture in America is American culture, right? And it's the same culture that black people in America have to some extent, and all the other minorities have to some extent. It's a shared culture. We share it. So there's the main culture, and then there's subcultures, right? And then you could say, for example, that there's a black American culture, right? Which is true. There is in the United States a black American culture, which is somewhat separate from the main white culture that kind of dominates it, right? But, that's also American as well, right? And a lot of white people also overlap into that as well, For example, black people pretty much invented jazz and rock and roll, right? But there are many, 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 famous white jazz musicians, and a shit ton of, famous white rock and roll artists out there. You know what I mean? It's shared. It's not, you know, maybe it was invented, it came out of the black culture, but then it kind of is shared with the white culture. Now, does that mean that white people are stealing it, per se? No, not really. You know, you can't steal a culture. You can adopt it. See, that's another thing they say. That's another thing that you get from the SJW people. They go like, fucking, no, you're stealing this XYZ. You make sushi, you're stealing Japanese culture. You make fucking, burritos, you're stealing Mexican culture, right? You fucking, you wear your hair in dreadlocks, you're stealing, black culture. That's fucking bullshit. There is no such fucking thing as stealing somebody's culture. What happens is that you're influenced. One culture is influenced by another. That's what happens, and things transfer back and forth. And that's a widely known phenomenon that goes back for centuries, and you can point to examples in fucking ancient Egypt of this kind of thing happening. For example, you have Egypt, and then below it you had a region called Kush. And if you look at Kush, right, they build pyramids that look just like the ones in fucking Egypt. Well, no one's gonna argue and say that, the Kushites invented the fucking pyramid. No, they obviously were influenced from Egypt up above. I mean, are you gonna say they stole the pyramids? No, they didn't steal shit. They saw the ones that were in Egypt, right? They had a similar culture to begin with, probably worshipped the same gods and had a similar religion, shit like that, and said, those things are awesome, and then somebody built them in fucking, their home region. And if you look at the pyramids, so here's another thing though, if you look at the pyramids in that region, they're small, okay? Instead of building super gigantic skyscraper ones that took 40 years and shit, they built little ones that were like, 2-3 stories tall, and they made multiple ones, right? That's what happens when one culture influences the other. They don't take the, they'll take the concept and then they'll make it their own. And that's what the Kushites did. They took this concept of the pyramids and as a, temple and as a burial ground, that kind of thing, right? And they took that and they adapted it to their own culture. And actually people, they didn't use them strictly as tombs. They used them as temples. They used them as dwellings and shit like that. And that's like how cultural influence works. An even better example is between the Greek and Roman pantheons. They're pretty much the exact same fucking thing with the names swapped around, right? And that's a perfect example of cultural influence. Now, you would say cultural appropriation, right? That term has kind of been sullied by the SJW crowd because it doesn't mean what they say it means. This is basically what it means. It means when one culture, is influenced by another culture and they take elements of that one and make it their own. That's essentially cultural appropriation, but I'm not really using that term because the SJW people have turned that into some kind of thing where it's like, you're fucking stealing from my culture, and it's bullshit. You're not stealing it. That's just what happens. That's how cultures evolve across the earth, and we have examples of that going back forever. And the same thing happens today in the United States, in the modern world. We now have, you could say, almost a global culture, right? And you see the exact same fucking things happening now, So to say that it's stealing, that you're stealing it from somebody, that's total fucking horseshit. You're not stealing shit. You're being influenced by someone else's culture, and there's absolutely nothing fucking wrong with that. That's just like human nature. I guess that's the big point that I'm trying to make here, is that we have, an overall American culture, and there's little subcultures inside of it. They're part of the main thing. So to say that, white people don't have a culture, it's like, that's complete, total fucking bullshit. And it's bigotry is what it is. It's bigotry because you want, because it's okay suddenly in the SJW crowd to be, racist against white people, to be bigoted against white people, if you don't like the term racist. Right. For some fucking reason. I just don't understand that. I guess there's this whole idea about punching up and all of this other bullshit. And it still it's still bullshit to me, because, you know, it doesn't matter, you're still punching somebody when you shouldn't be punching. You should be fucking trying to, like, you know, talk to them. Right? That's really, you know, just to, I guess to end this all off, you know, I don't want to, I guess to end it, it's kind of like, you don't convince people of anything by being an asshole to them, you know? You convince them by making them see your point of view. Now, whether that's by arguing, whether that's by, you know, however it is, you need to eventually, if you want to actually change someone's mind, you need to try to engage them on a level, well, where they'll understand you. And if you're a fucking bigoted asshole to them, they're not going to do that. All right? So that's I guess what the end comes down to, and it's like, that's why I really kind of hate it when I see shit like this come out of, like, the left, because the left, I think, is the only hope for this country, to be honest. I really think, you know, like the SJW people, they believe in a lot of stupid shit, right? They're the best hope for our country. They are the ones that are going to make or break this country in the next 40, 50 years, right? And whether 50 years from now we're living in a shittier version of what we have now, or if we're living in a place that's better, where people are more free and where everyone is more accepted, and we don't have the kind of inequalities that we have today. We don't have black people getting blown away by cops for no reason, right? Stuff like that. Whether that happens or not is up to the SJW people. It's to people on the left, the social justice warriors, you know. They're the ones that are going to keep our country from falling into a dystopian hell, right? And it really kind of just fucks that up when you see this kind of just sort of hate-based rhetoric coming out of them. It's like, no, man, you guys, it's not right to fucking, you know, it's not right to hate people like this. Anyway, that's all I got, folks. Adios.